Welcome back to another reaction video. We've got a really good one today. So another Lost in the Pond by the legend, the YouTube sensation. That is Lawrence Brown. Link in the descriptions as always. And today's video is entitled 6 Happily Surprising Things About Living in America. I have to say I've learned so much from Lawrence. If you don't know, Lawrence is a British guy that moved over to America, I think about 14 years ago, something like that. He's now living in the Midwest. Big fan of his channel. Very intelligent and very funny guy. A really good and entertaining way to learn, which is what my channel is all about. I react to all things America, and I'm on a mission to learn as much as I can about your wonderful country. If you would like to appear on the Patreon lineup, check out the link in the pinned comments for all the fun-packed perks, and your name too could be added to this list. Anywho, that's enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get straight into it.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to the things that surprise us. Specifically, for me, the things that happily surprise me about living in the United States. Now, this might seem like a strange video to do at this time while many of us are trapped in our quarantine bunkers, but once we all emerge, I'm excited to start enjoying many of these things very soon, even though I didn't get to for the first 26 years of my life. America, today I salute you. Here are 6 happily surprising things about living in the United States.
Oh, looking forward to this. Litter free. Yeah, this is something that I've noticed. I've been to America a few times. It always appears, but the areas I've been to have always been extremely clean. Everything's like well pruned. All the shrubberies are well pruned. The grass is freshly cut. And yeah, there's not so much litter or graffiti. Now, I appreciate there will be places in certain areas and cities there will be litter and graffiti. But where I've been to Connecticut, Florida, Idaho, LA for literally a weekend, Pennsylvania, and they did land in Washington State, but that was a connecting flight, and they got picked up at Washington State and driven down to Idaho. However, yes, I have noticed this, but again, I'm sure there's areas where there will be litter and graffiti and things like that.
I suppose sometimes, you know, it's the little things in life, or should I say, the litter things in life that please people. And, you know, growing up in a country that is a wasteland, quite frankly, I'm joking, Britain's not that bad. But we do have a tendency just to, you know, throw litter around. And sometimes now, I've been hearing back in Britain, since I've left, we've had this problem with fly tipping. And that's where, you know, people are dumping their trash. But even...
Yeah, I'll put some pictures up on my Patreon page as well. There was some, literally not far from here, we were walking, my wife and I were going for a walk as we do, and someone had dumped all this rubbish, and it was literally, I kid you not, next to a sign saying, no fly tipping. Now, most people are pretty good not dropping litter and putting them in bins, but yeah, there are a few, like always, everywhere, there's a few that ruin it for everyone.
Minus that, I just got this general sense that Britain was just a bit more littery than America. In America, everywhere's super clean. That's one of the great things about it. You can enjoy the oxygen around you, knowing that it hasn't touched a chewing gum wrapper. This is usually the case, and I'm taking the examples of the places I've lived. This is about 4 different cities at this point, and in each and every one of them, you have very green, very well-kept gardens, very clear... Typical,
what I would say, and I appreciate everyone lives in different areas and different places, but I would look at that and go, yeah, that's America. I wouldn't look at that and go, yeah, that's England or Britain, purely because the sun's out for one. And no, but everything's really well kept.
Sidewalks, although in some cases that could be because nobody used them. But it's really refreshing to go to the beach here in Chicago and not find discarded chippy wrappers or crushed Coca-Cola cans.
Yeah, and ice cream wrappers and things like that.
Or used condoms. Americans on the whole are just better about not littering, and I know that that sounds like a generalization of the wild variety, and it makes me sound like a crotchety old man telling people to get off his yard, but at least my yard is clean.
Clean, yeah.
I mean, most in Britain are, to be fair. It's mostly the streets, and I should know, I grew up on the mean streets of Grimsby. It was actually a nice area, but, you know, sometimes the streets would still be littered with caviar containers.
Caviar containers. Grimsby seems to be a nice place. I think I've been there once up north, but yeah, I've not heard anything bad about Grimsby. It's quite a nice area. Soccer fields.
This one was hugely surprising, especially as a fan of football, or as they say in the rest of the English-speaking world, soccer, because, I'd always sort of understood America to not be truly interested in soccer or football. And in many respects, this is still true, at least, when things are normal and sport is still happening.
Am I right in saying it's more popular ladies, women's football versus the men's? But I think it's a different, excuse the pun, different ball game now, but... Yeah, it always seems to be like the ladies and the women do football and they're really, really good. I think they're the World Cup winners, actually. But I think the Americans are catching on. There is an American called Pulisic. I'm not sure if I said that right, but he plays for Chelsea. Very good player. American, really good player.
America still prioritizes NFL, basketball, hockey, and what's the other one? Baseball, above all other sports. And so it was just really surprising to this fresh-faced Brit who came equipped with a soccer ball to find that there were soccer fields aplenty. They were everywhere. Even in Anderson, Indiana, right, which is the place that I've lived that had the lowest population. But off the top of my head, I can already think of about 5 soccer fields in that city alone.
That's great.
They're very, very widespread, at least in the eastern portion of the United States. I can't speak for the sort of the plains and the Rockies, because can you imagine having soccer fields high up in the mountains? It might happen. If you live in those areas, let me know in the comments below. But I think one of the chief reasons that there are just so many of them is that they're very popular with school-age people. And of course, it is one of the most popular sports in the United States played by women. You've just got to look at the overwhelming success of the US women's national team, who've won at this point about 2.5 million World Cups. England, of course, still waiting on theirs. And speaking of waiting, that brings us on to this.
Free public toilets. Yeah, there are. Yeah, it's true. There are certain places in the UK, normally like London, you have to pay to go in there. There might be some kind of cubicles you've got to pay, put some money in. It's where the phrase, I'm not sure if you guys use this, but there's a phrase, I need to spend a penny, which means I need to go to the toilet. So back in the day, it used to be a penny. You put a penny in and you'd be able to go to the toilet. A lot of the toilets now are free to go in, but I think it's more so like cities, you got to pay. But yes, free public toilets. And they're always cleaner as well, your toilets. Or the ones I've been to always seem very clean, big, open. Ones over here have got graffiti, they stink. All the hinges on the doors are rusty and just smells of, wee and feces. Not very nice.
America is known as the land of the free, and I always thought that was quite weird because, I always considered Britain to be quite free, as in we had freedoms, but then I started to think, well, maybe it comes down to the little things, right? Something I noticed, of course, and I've talked about on this channel, is you can get free refills in any kind of restaurant on your sodas. And the same is true of entering public toilets, except you don't drink the contents. Let's be clear about that. What I'm saying is, in Britain, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, public toilets will charge you an entry fee in order to use it. And I can understand why they do this. It's partly for the upkeep of said public toilets. But it's a big problem when you really need to go. Nobody wants to find themselves in a race to find their change versus a race to change their knickers. In America, though I'm sure there are some quirky exceptions somewhere, you never have to worry about that. You just have to worry that people can see you through the crack.
Window screen. Oh, okay, window screens. I've got it. Window screens. Not as in like a car window screen, as in the bug screen that goes on windows in houses. Is that right?
I feel like I've mentioned window screens a lot in my videos, but not really in the context of how they've brought me a lot of joy. And that might sound really strange, right? But in England, we never had them. And we also never had air conditioning. So you find yourself in this strange situation, particularly on a warm summer's day, of having to open the window just to get some fresh air in. But of course, with that comes some other things. Things like, mosquitoes, which, to be fair, in Britain aren't anywhere near as bad as they are in the American Midwest. Or Big Daddy Longlegs, or, bees. Bees can get in the house, and who wants that? Now, bees...
nothing wrong with bees. I like bees. Bees won't do you any harm, unless you start playing around and hitting them and stuff. I like bees. They're cool.
Bees and wasps and things like that are probably the most dangerous things that might get into your house in Britain. So it's not really a huge concern, but it... Yeah,
wasps. I don't like wasps. Their stings are very, very smooth. And so they can just keep stinging you as many times as they want. And they just bugger off. They're not very... I'm not a great fan of wasps. But bees, they're sting has got jagged edges on them. So once it goes in, they can't pull it out again. So that's when they pull the sting basically pulls away. They're detached from their sting and then they die. That's why they only sting once. And they only sting unless they absolutely have to, but not like those wasps.
Can be an irritation, and it's an irritation that's largely alleviated in the United States by the existence of these window screens. I'm not saying that insects don't get in at all. I mean, I've seen enough ant colonizations in my kitchen to know that that's not true. But I do not remember the last time I encountered a wasp, a bee, or a mosquito inside my apartment. It just doesn't really happen.
Wow.
But the big revelation that is window screens doesn't just stop bugs from getting in, it also stops a certain somebody from getting out, and I'm not talking about
It's cat.
my wife. She uses the door. Now in Britain, people might be a little less concerned about this because, you know, there's more of an outdoor cat culture there. But my cat, much like the cats of many people in the United States, is very decidedly an indoor cat. And if I want to open the window, as I did today,
Beautiful.
right, there are occasions during spring and autumn when, you know, it's not hot enough for the air conditioning unit and it's not cold enough for the heating. You want to crack a window open, right? And if that were the case in Britain on a lower floor or even the second floor, your cat's gone. And to me, that would be bad because, you know, recently I did have a dream that we lost him at the beach. And I know that curiosity isn't going to kill my cat, but a Prius would. Window screens save lives. Now, once we get the all clear to start en masse leaving our apartments, whether that is by the door or the window, then there's one aspect of America I will never take for granted again, and it's this.
National parks. National parks. Love national parks. Done a couple of videos on national parks. I'll put a link up here from one of them. And there should be a list at the end of the video. If you click the tab up here, at the end of the video, there'll be a list of different national parks. But wow. It's just beautiful. Absolutely stunning. I want to go see Yellowstone Park. I want to see Mesa Verde. Oh, Grand Canyon. You know, it's just, all of them are just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And you've got such an amazingly stunning and beautiful country. And it's all on your doorstep. It's all on your doorstep, guys. Embrace it. You know, go there if you can. You know, you're seeing things most of us Europeans will never, ever, ever get the chance to see. So yes, beautiful.
Don't get me wrong, you know, we have a fantastic national park system in the United Kingdom, and one, you know, I wished I'd experienced more while I lived there. And the same thing is happening right now as I live in America. I feel like I haven't seen enough of the national parks, or even sort of state parks or state forests and things of that nature. Now, I have experienced one or two, you know, Muir Woods near San Francisco, but I want to see the big ones, you know. I've sold out at this point. I want to do Yellowstone National Park, I want to do Yosemite, I want to do Badlands, all of them basically in a week. Can we make that happen? Yeah, why not?
Because combined they're larger than Britain.
Right. The national park
Combined, they're larger than Britain. Mad.
system is amazing, protecting some of the most unbelievable natural settings I've ever experienced, or will experience, because, you know, I want to enter the Grand Canyon. That's not a euphemism. So I've already said to the wife, when we get out of this, we're cancelling the Paris trip. Even though she's always wanted to do it, so that's a little harsh. We're just going to go out west, you know, pack up our tents and grow mustaches like Teddy Roosevelt. That's me, not the wife. Now, those of you that are new to this channel might not know that I used to do travel videos back in the day. And today, at the top of Ensign Peak, a wasp stung me. But then that, combined with having to work a day job, just got a little challenging. So I put it on hold, but I think now that I'm YouTubing full time, I might start it up again.
Oh, he's done so well, Lawrence. Really, really good guy. You know, helped me and helped so many people during the lockdown. People were stuck in their houses. You know, it's been a real welcome relief and break from, you know, all the horrors that are going on in the world at the moment. But yeah, it's just a nice light relief. So yeah, he's done so well and, you know, absolutely well deserved.
I don't mean tomorrow. I mean when we've got the all clearance to go and do this sort of thing.
The people. Can't argue with that. Lovely
this one
people.
might be the biggest one of all, hence why I saved it to last, because after all, what is a country without its people? In America's case, it's one big land of unregulated national parks. And I think this one is on the mind because, well, I haven't seen any people except the 1.5 that I live with. And the good thing, I think, that was surprising anyway about Americans and American people is just how nice most of you are. That's if you're not talking about politics or religion or PB&J sandwiches. Of course, there are wild exceptions, and I do mean wild, in any country, and I've certainly seen them here on occasion too, but they are the exception that proves the rule. Unlikely as it seems, I just have to look at the comments section beneath my videos. I know, sounds like a mistake, never do that, but mostly it's Americans who comment, and for the most part, they're all really nice. You're all really nice, right? Most of you. I mean, I ignore the ones that aren't. I have a motto: focus on the flowers, not the weeds. And
what a great saying. What a great saying. Focus on the flowers and not the weeds. Be a flower, guys. Be a flower. Don't be a weed.
maybe this is a bad example. A good example would be in real life. Americans are very welcoming, you know, sometimes too welcoming. I've been invited to ranches by people I've never met. It's weird, but it happens. And I think it's just sort of bred into people to be hospitable. There's a lot of hospitality. You often hear of Hoosier hospitality, where I lived in Indiana. You hear of Southern hospitality, an appreciation for other people that goes missing on Twitter. But for the most part, you don't have those kind of interactions in real life, or at least that's been my experience of it. The interactions you have, I think, are mostly very nice. I think of going into shops, I think of going into restaurants, and I know that it's part of their job to treat the customer well. It can be split into two camps. Either you get that really sort of over-the-top cheeriness because they want a higher tip, or it feels very genuine.
Yeah.
Specifically when you're in a shop.
Natural.
You strike up a conversation with somebody. It's much easier to do, I think, than perhaps in Britain. We're a little more guarded, I think, about certain things like that. Wild generalization again, and of course, I'm not saying that Americans are better than British people, but I think it's worth mentioning because if you're coming here and you expect everybody to fall into sort of one of 5 categories, right? Either a seedy boss type from an 80s Wall Street movie, a stoner kid, a surfer dude, they're one and the same, all of the characters from Friends, or Norman Bates from Psycho.
Norman Bates. My wife and I are just getting into Bates Motel, and it's a bit late to the party, but we're watching that. But yeah, I must say, I've got one little story. Some of you may have heard this before, but it was only one time I got really embarrassed. I think I was the second or third time I went to America. I was still young. I was in my early 20s. And it was my first time to America on my own. And the company I was working for had a sort of a partner in Connecticut. And I went over to meet this company, and he picked me up. And he goes, well, we're going to do the full American thing. We're going to grab a coffee on the way. And we went to a Dunkin' Donuts. And it was my first time in a Dunkin' Donuts. I just said, I'll be all right. I'll go in on my own. And I wanted a black coffee, and this lady, I was there all like, please, may I have a black coffee, please? And then she was like, what? And I kid you, it's not. It's like, what? That is exactly how it was. And it was like bordering, in my eyes, then rude. And I was like, black coffee. And she went, what? I said, and I was going red, and I was like, black coffee. And honestly, I was so embarrassed. I was that close, literally just running out and never going in a Dunkin' Donuts ever again. And oh God, I was so embarrassed. But this gentleman behind me, I think he took pity on me. He thought, he's a British guy. And he turned around and said, I think he means a black Americano. He's like, black Americano. I was like, yeah, black Americano. Black coffee. I said, no milk, just coffee, hot water, stir it, give it, and I'll bugger off. I'll give you a tip. I just want to get out of here, And that was really embarrassing. That was, I can feel myself going a bit red just thinking about it now. But yeah, I was young compared to what I am now. And, but yeah, it was, I'll never forget that.
Then you're going to be disappointed or happily surprised, as I was.
Another super smashing, great episode from Lawrence Brown, Lost in the Pond. Again, links in the description. Really enjoyed this. Guys, if you've got anything to add to this, or if there's any things that you agree with, or let's say you disagree with, let me know. Please let me know in the comments below. And if you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to drop a like, because it really helps us out. If you would like to see different material, please follow me on my other social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, TikTok or Twitter. Just search Mr. H and Friends. You'll get different pictures, different videos, different material, and a bit more behind the scenes about Mrs. H, myself, Baby H or Baby Bump H, and our cat WOWZER. Again, if you do like reaction videos, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. And all that leaves me to say, and Mr. H, you're my friends, is take care, God bless, see you on the next video.